Welcome to the library show for March. Well, it's not quite spring, but it will be soon. There's no excuse for not coming out to your local library. That's all I can say. A little plus for the library, a little boost. And there are all kinds of programs. Today, we're going to focus on some terrific things going on at Gladwyne Library. You know, there was an old saying that in the spring, a young man's thoughts turn to love. Well, in the spring, my thoughts turned to Gladwyne because for many, many years, they would have a plant sale. Well, they don't have a plant sale, but they have some other great things. And we're going to talk about them with Alicemarie Collins, who is the director of Gladwyne Library. Alicemarie, welcome today.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I am going to get right into it and ask you to talk about my next favorite thing after the plant sale. And that is the Arts and Crafts Show at Gladwyne, which I have a memory of people coming on and showing things that you have shown and sold in the years, and they're extraordinary. What's coming up this year?
So our Arts and Crafts Show this year is March 18th to the 23rd. Our reception is Monday, March 18th from 5 to 7 p.m., where everybody can come and view the judged entries. It is for all ages. And our drop-offs are Thursday, March 14th from 1:30 to 7:30 p.m., Friday, March 15th from 2 to 4:30 p.m., and Saturday, March 16th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So what we do is we get all the entries those 3 days. We then hang everything. Then we have a panel of volunteer judges who judge it. And then we have the opening night reception the following Monday, which is Monday the 18th from 5 to 7. This year, what we're going to do is we usually just put an announcement out, do some social media, have flyers, send to a list of previous art contributors. But this year, too, we're going to send information to the Gladwyne Elementary School art teacher and see if we get some more kids this year. Because it's always just, for the kids, it's always just like a little corner. So it'd be nice if we got a little bit more children's entries. But I have here, I don't know if you can see this. It's hard to see.
Ooh,
this
cool.
is a quilt made.
That's a beauty.
Yeah, one of the years. So this was one of our, and they also judge what they call favorites. So then we display them for like the month after the Arts and Crafts Show. So we would display them from the end of March till, the end of April. And then they come and pick them up. And sometimes they let us keep them. Here's another one. This woman does amazing work. Can you see that?
I can.
That is paper cutting. Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing because it does look like the stones around that are at the outside of the library. That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I had seen somebody who done paper cutting to look like lace, like very, very fine lace. I'd seen that a couple of years ago. I thought that was extraordinary.
It's probably the same one, Jessie Brown.
Yes.
She does amazing artwork. And this quilt was done by Michelle Hansen, whose husband is a member of our board.
Do you have racks to hang quilts if there's more than one quilt?
Upstairs. So right now, actually, for the month of February, we have a little group that comes into the library called Mainly Modern Quilters. And so they have a quilt show up in our meeting room / gallery. So anybody can come now and see the quilt show because there's some amazing quilts up there.
That's terrific. That is really great. I happen to love the look of quilts. I don't do them myself, but I have a couple of friends who do. And I think the result of putting together the fabric in that way and doing it with the puffy stuff behind the quilting materials is terrific. Yeah, I love that. And they're so colorful. I think a wintry day, sorry, March, but it's really wintry month. They really are a splash of color that's very welcome. When you say you display them, everything is just in a place where they can't be, nobody can walk off with the items. They're in the same place.
For the Arts and Crafts Show, there's always volunteers watching the show while the show is open. Okay. I mean, worst case scenario, we would have a staff member stay up there because there's just so much stuff. So there's always someone there.
Well, this show is on the air, as you know, the entire month of March. So if it's March 1st and you're watching the show, parents, get your kids busy creating their artwork because they've only got about 2 weeks before it has to be turned in. I love the idea of the picture of the cars coming up to the library and dropping off artwork after artwork after artwork, and somebody organizing it and hanging it and displaying it, and that's terrific. Are people still doing things like knitting and crocheting? Is that part of the art?
Yes.
They are. Okay.
And that actually is a good segue into Valerie Vitale, who does our social media and our graphics. She has a sit and stitch class every other Friday. And people come in with their projects. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just any kind of fiber art. And she can help them out because she crochets and she knits. And then also the other women that are there, if they have experience, they also will help out someone who's having issues. It's nice. It's a nice little group, and that's been growing.
What time?
It is from 1 to 2:30.
Okay.
And I'm not sure when the next one. Actually, I take that back. Calendar here. It is March 8th.
Okay.
At 1 p.m. And they can register online if you go to lmls.org and then click on calendar and Gladwyne.
Well,
they can always give us a call at the Gladwyne Library and ask about things.
Okay. It sounds good. It sounds like if you have a certain skill with your hands, you can come to Gladwyne and use it. Some people might bring embroidery too, I'm assuming. Are people still doing embroidery? I don't know.
Yeah, actually, I think people still do it. I'm not sure if we have any embroiderers. It's usually the three that we see. Well, the two that we see are crocheting and knitting. But I haven't asked Val lately, so there could be. I mean, you could absolutely come if you do embroidery.
Well, many years ago, I started a project that was crewel work. And nobody talks about crewel work anymore. That's CREWEL, for those of you who are wondering, what is she talking about? And it was, I think my mistake was that it was too big. I should have started with something small because it was a bit much. But it would be a fun thing to do with other people, because when you're doing stitches and you're handling the yarn and so on, it could be very helpful to have other people give you input. I'm a big fan of that. I also think that as with the games programs at Ludington, I think people really enjoy coming in and doing something together that they might otherwise do alone and, pardon me, but isolated. And this is a way to ensure that people have social interaction, especially important, I think, in the wintertime. And people of all ages can come. Not school kids, not during the day, but certainly adults, and then young kids, maybe, if they have something that they're doing.
It's just
Probably
for adults.
Not too many young kids, just for adults.
It's just for adults. It's like 1 o'clock is more for adults. But what's nice is the social interaction that they're getting, because they're meeting a different group of people than maybe they would normally meet. So it's nice to see friendships develop.
That's terrific. I always have a line that I've used with people, and I said, what people don't appreciate who don't go to libraries these days, and especially don't go to Lower Merion libraries, is that libraries are the community center of today, because we're making communities in different ways, whatever the particular class or whatever the particular program is. It's an opportunity for people to get together, as you said a moment ago, to form friendships, and it gets them to be in a different setting.
Yes.
It's not in your den, in your basement. It's coming out and getting some fresh air, and then getting into the library and meeting people.
Yeah.
Who knows who you're going to meet? I mean, I just think it's a terrific thing.
Plus the fact, that old, that's not libraries anymore. Children aren't hushed. They have their space to be active downstairs to read. And now there's, developmental toys that they can play with that helps with their fine motor skills and develop their imagination. Preschool, pre-ready for preschool type stuff that they can do in the children's room as well. And of course, all the different children's activities that, every library always has. We have, story time once a week. Once a month, we have a musical story time, and then we do other activities. We have crafternoons for the kids where they can drop in and do activities. That's usually once or twice a month. So there's just so much, like you said, going on in libraries these days. They're the community center. They're the heart of of their communities.
Not just books. It's
No,
lots of other
it's
things
not
going
just
on.
books. And honestly, it hasn't been just books for years, you know? We really try when we were closed with the pandemic, children's librarians were online doing online programming and things like that. And now it's funny because for our adults, we still do a lot of virtual programs because that seems to get the attendance,
Well, it
you
does.
know?
I remember thinking that one of the brilliant things that Lower Merion libraries did was the grab and go bags, where the librarians would create a bag full of things that the kids particularly were interested in,
Yeah.
and it gave the parents could just come into the vestibule, pick up the grab and go bag with their child's name on it, and go home and have something to entertain them for a period
Yeah.
of time. When people were at home, they felt, I don't want to say in prison, that's too strong a word, but they
Some
felt
did.
closed in. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll say closed in. It's a more positive word. Words. But I thought that was brilliant and so easy for the people
Yeah.
picking up. It was easy for the parent, easy for me as an adult coming by and picking up a grab and go for me. It was something I
Right.
was doing, and sometimes it involved food, and sometimes it involved something that you touched. It was terrific. Anyway, we'll come back in just a moment, closing down this part of the show, but we'll be right back. Please stay tuned. Welcome back to the Library Show. But we're fortunate that this whole show is focusing on Gladwyne Library. For those of you who utilize other libraries, don't worry. We will focus on other libraries all in good time. But today, Alicemarie, I understand you have a major fundraiser coming up this spring.
Yes, we are having our fundraiser Sunday, May 5th at the Deaconess House. I don't have a time yet, but if you keep looking at lmls.org/Gladwyne, as soon as we have all the information, it will be up there. And the fundraiser, I don't know if people really understand why we fundraise and what we're doing with that money. So the libraries are responsible. The township pays all staff salary and utilities, which is wonderful. However, the libraries themselves, including Gladwyne, has to raise fund for all the programming that we do for everyone during the year. We need to raise funds to buy the materials that you come and borrow from us: magazines, newspapers, museum passes, books, the electronic databases that we have for everybody, the electronic materials that we have available to everybody. That's all we have to raise funds for. But also at Gladwyne is unique because we are responsible for this building. So we also have to raise funds to support the building maintenance. For example, last year we renovated the children's bathroom, which had not been renovated in like 50 years. I mean, it was terrible. And so we renovated the children's bathroom. And Lenore, you had asked me earlier, this is all things that I did when I came on. We needed a new book drop, so we got a new book drop. They renovated the garden outside, which needed to be done, and puts in some beautiful benches where people can sit during nice weather. We renovated the children's bathroom. We put in a new front door, which was desperately needed. All these funds come out of our own budget that our board raises. So whenever we do these big fundraisers, we're doing them because we really need the funds to support the building and to support our ability to buy materials for the public.
Well, isn't it also that Gladwyne is one of the only two libraries in the system that owns its own building, or do you not own your own building anymore?
For lack of a better term, I'm going to say yes, we own the building. Penguin does not own their own building anymore. We are the only ones that own our own building and are responsible for the maintenance of the building. So obviously that's everything from the boiler, which they replaced a couple years ago, to the roof. I mean,
Sure.
it's just soup to
Top to bottom.
nuts.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if there's plumbing issues, I'm calling the plumber. If there's electrical issues, I'm calling an electrician. None of, the other buildings are fortunate that you would just call the township and be like, I'm having a plumbing problem or whatever.
Well, I think one of the interesting things to me about the Lower Merion Library system, aside from the creativity of the librarians and so on, and the enthusiasm of the people in the township, is the history of the libraries. That each library, you can go on the LMLS webpage and you can read the history of every single library, and it's fascinating how far back it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that some of these buildings are so old is because they started a long time ago as libraries or as a women's lending library or whatever the history may be. And I think Gladwyne's history is unique.
Yes.
Gladwyne's is unique. And the idea that you own your own building and you're responsible makes the fundraiser all the more critical. And I have to say, I was at an event, I guess it was a fundraising event at the Deaconess building. It's beautiful. What a great place to have that in May. Oh my gosh.
Yes, we're very fortunate, they allow us to use it. And it's a beautiful facility. And the fact that they let us use it year after year is just amazing. So we're very fortunate.
So it's your neighbor in a sense. So that's a nice thing too. I mean, I've been to different things around the township, and I thought that one was memorable. You don't know what kind of fundraiser, what the focus is going to be? That's yet
what the theme is this year. I don't know what the theme is this year. Our fundraising committee is meeting shortly. Okay. And then they'll get that all down. Oh. I mean, we've had, sometimes it's just been a spring cocktail party. I think last year it was like going to the races because it was the Kentucky Derby, so every year they do something fun. Last fall, which we had a lot of fun with, we did it at the guardhouse near us, which is owned by the Union League now. And they did a tailgate, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Opened up the back of their cars and took out food kind of stuff, that the classic tailgate, or a variation thereof?
A variation. They had the games on inside the building and then just, picky food like you would have at a tailgate. So it was fun. It was something different. It was a little relaxed and it was a lot of fun. So they always put cool themes.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like
as soon as we know, we'll put the information out. We'll get our cards out. But we can say this is a save the date for May 5th.
Okay. Alicemarie, I remember when you were brand new. You're not brand new. It's not that long that you've been director at Gladwyne. But you had your own ideas and plans and things you changed, not just the 50-year-old children's bathroom. But is there anything that, now that you've been there for a while, that you think has gone particularly well in terms of the plans that you had and things that you still have on your list?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, the fact that we got all those things done in 1 year, I think is pretty amazing. I have a fantastic board, and they, they're doing it. They know what needs to be done around the library, and they're doing it. The one thing that we're trying to do is we have something called the Pennsylvania Room.
Yes.
And it's not well utilized, but it's also sort of a mess. So what we're trying to do is do a co-op program with Drexel and get a Pennsylvania Room assistant. So it would run April through September if we're able to get a student. And they will organize the Pennsylvania Room, and we will create a guide that will be available online so people can see what we have, so that they can look online and then be like, oh, I could do research here. This is going to have, what I need. So that's my big project that I am hoping. I haven't gotten it done yet, which makes me a little sad, but I'm working on it, and I'm hoping that we can get that off the ground.
As I recall, that was original documents relating to the Pennsylvania Railroad?
Oh, no. So there are some maps. We do have some railroad maps. But we have a lot of books about Pennsylvania history and some local history. And it's just the materials we need to organize the room better, for one thing. We need to catalog and give descriptions of what we have in there. We also need to see what materials need to be digitized so people have access. The railroad maps we found out are all digitized, the ones we have, but they're still really cool to look at in person.
Mm-hmm.
But we have all kinds of things. And then there's also some stuff in my office, like archival materials. One, a former board member who passed gave to us, but it's organized, but it's not, so all those kinds of things are what we need to do. It's a big project. And there's so much material in my office alone that needs to be documented. But upstairs, so we would do upstairs first because, like I said, there's materials that should be in archival boxes. There's materials that, we need to find out if they need to be digitized. The organization of the room, some of the books need to be repaired. Do we repair them? It's just a big project. So I'm hoping, because Drexel has graciously offered us funds for a co-op student, I'm hoping that we can get someone and that we can make headway and maybe complete the project, at least in the Pennsylvania room, so it gets more activity.
Well, maybe there's somebody watching this program, hello out there, folks, who will be inspired by what you're saying and say, I have some time. I'd love to volunteer. I live in the Gladwyne area or nearby, and I'd like to come in and help on a schedule some hours a week. Maybe I could help. I mean, I'm not saying they would take over from the Drexel student who's not there yet, not in place yet, correct?
Yeah.
That wouldn't happen until April. But maybe there's somebody who'd like to volunteer. If so, give the call to Gladwyne Library and ask to speak to Alicemarie. I'm sorry I didn't clear that with you first, but maybe.
Yeah, I know.
Good.
We need somebody with archival experience. That's the big thing. Because we couldn't just let anybody, go up there.
Right.
We need somebody who really knows what they're doing. We have had some communication with Lower Merion Historical Society, and I'll reach out to them again, because obviously they have a lot of Lower Merion history. So there is some overlap there, but there's also some materials we have that they don't have, so.
Somewhere out there's somebody who's retired, who knows archives, who had this as a business and might be thrilled to come in and help you out on a pro bono basis, shall we say. In my capacity as chair of One Book, One Lower Merion, we've worked with the Lower Merion Historical Society, and the materials that they have, the maps, the drawings, the history, and the sense of it is really extraordinary. It makes it kind of fun to live in a place that's like a living textbook of history in some ways. I don't know, somebody must have said that. I'm sure I'm not coining it, but makes it fun. Well, thank you very much for being on the library show. I wish you good luck and great success with the fundraiser in May and all the fun things that you're going to be seeing for the Arts and Crafts show this month.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Take care. And join us for next month at the library show.